Thanks for tuning in to the Product-Led Festival. We really hope you're enjoying the summit so far because we've got even more insights heading your way. All sessions are designed to be interactive and give you the chance to engage with our panelists, so come ready to get involved with your questions and comments. For all things PLG, don't forget to check on the PLA memberships at productledalliance.com. Sit back and enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Product-Led Festival. I'm really pleased to announce our next speaker, David Abrahamson, Chief Technology Officer of Quervay. And hand over to you, David.
Great. Thank you so much for the intro. Hi, everybody. My name is David Abramson. I am the CTO here at Quervay. And it's actually great to be back here at the Product-Led Festival. This is actually Quervay's second time presenting. And today we're going to be talking about partnerships, particularly focused on SaaS software, OEM or embedded technology partnerships. So basically anytime you're going to be looking at embedded technologies to integrate and embed inside of your software applications. And we're going to offer some ideas for how best to integrate and navigate the process of selecting the right partners and vendors to work with as you go down that journey of working with embedded software. So to kick things off, we're going to step back a little bit and even sort of outside of software for a minute, because these embedded concepts have really been around for quite some time, for ages, in fact, in all kinds of industries. Basically, anytime you're building a product, whether it's cars, whether it's clothing, machines, or SaaS software products, there is an opportunity to partner with best-of-breed solutions to embed rich technology that can hopefully improve your offering, your own product, and what you can offer to your customers. And in the software space, embedded technologies are really booming. This is a huge growing industry. In the space that Quervay serves, we're in the embedded software for analytics capabilities. This is an incredibly fast-growing space, and it's very important set of technologies that you can use to help improve and enhance your product offerings. But so why embed technologies, or why even work with partners? As you're a software company, you've got teams of developers and engineers, hopefully, and so you might be tempted just to sort of build everything in-house. And that's certainly something that you can do. But in our experience, there are some really important benefits to not only embedded technologies, but also to finding really great partnerships. And obviously some of those we see listed here. It might be that you can focus more on your core competencies and strengths, but probably one of the most important benefits is time. In a recent Nucleus research study focused on embedded analytics and their value, it found that embedded software projects can even go as live in as little as 3 weeks when compared to if you were to build it yourself in-house, and sometimes it might take up to 8 months or more for that fully home-built solution to be ready to go to market. And of course, the old adage, time is often equal to money, but in this case, it means not just time that you're saving, but you can more quickly take advantage of some of these other benefits. Maybe it's quickly offering some additional product differentiation, responding faster to customer demands, which in turn hopefully boosts your customer satisfaction. And it could even create some new revenue streams and accelerate the growth of your business. And the faster you can do that, obviously, the bigger benefit you're going to see. And I think now more than ever, these benefits are really important. Obviously with the global pandemic sort of impacting everything, including SaaS businesses, a recent report showed that 30% of SaaS companies are seeing higher churn rates in the past year. So not the greatest. Obviously, you want to avoid churn, whenever you can, and really important to figure out how best to respond to this. So, so to avoid churn and to make sure that you're continuing to grow the business and add value. Another study we saw with OpenView found that as many as 70% of the respondents were looking at either some type of price cut or some type of maybe a license incentive to try to stem that churn. But the good news is at least 30% showed that companies were looking to offer either additional functionality or embed some capabilities to try to stem that churn. So while this data might be a little bit alarming, hopefully as product managers, product owners, you're attending these types of events and conferences, so you're looking at ways that you can improve your products, looking for the best options. And so one first piece of insight or advice that we can provide from Curve is to check out our build versus buy guide. This is obviously focused on the embedded analytics use case, but the key concepts are pretty universal here. The reasons why you want to think about partnering up for embedded technologies are really useful to understand. And this buy guide really goes through and steps through those to really help you make the best product-led decision you can for your organization. So that's something I hope everybody gets a chance to check out. Build versus buy guide is a great resource as you start down this journey of choosing to work with the best sort of partners that you can find. But of course, before you even start going down the path and finding those partners, we need to think about, what are we trying to achieve overall? Some ideas, is it a differentiation? Is it more just feature expansion, building more capabilities on the roadmap? Maybe you want to enter some new markets. So these are some ideas. In fact, we can take a quick poll of the audience here and see, what are some of the problems as product managers are you most urgently trying to solve? So this is something that, again, hope you participate, enter what you think are the types of problems that you really want to take a look at and solve. And we can then jump into kind of the meat of the discussion and talk about how then to select the best partners that we want to work with. So take a look at that poll and let us know what you think. So jumping back into the presentation. So when you start down the path, one of the things that we see, and we've been in this embedded technology space for quite some time, is what is the decision-making process? How do you get started? And you may be tempted as you get started to look at, maybe you want to look at the latest and greatest technology, or maybe you want to incorporate something that doesn't, break the budget. So you've got some constraints there, and you want to look at some of the lower priced or low cost offerings. But I'd sort of throw out there that there's some problems with these types of decisions. So if you're going down the path of just looking at the cool vendor, from the slide here, not everyone needs a bulletproof truck, right? It's the latest cool technology or the hottest trends might generate a ton of buzz, but they don't always solve the best or the customer problems that you might be facing, or they don't always get you to those goals that you identified as you're getting started with this decision-making process. So, be on the lookout. You might be adding technology that doesn't quite fit with your existing product. Maybe it doesn't match, and that could be, mismatch in a number of ways. Does it mismatch look and feel? Is it the wrong tech stack entirely? Maybe that's not the right fit. Maybe your customers aren't even ready for it yet, right? If it's something so new that's going to add, some additional training or support or something that you just, can't handle at the time. Maybe it's not the right time to introduce, the shiny new cool vendor technology into your product or platform. So that's, one challenge with just going for the latest and greatest cool vendor technology. And then on the other point about, just looking at costs, The challenge with just finding the cheapest, just make sure there aren't any sort of hidden costs, that it will surprise you as you're going through that process. Now, obviously you might just be tempted to seek out what's the lowest price sort of offering. But again, the hidden costs, infrastructure, additional infrastructure, maybe it's a lot more work to do the integration. Maybe it means there's going to be a lot less flexibility. Maybe the technology is a little bit older. And so, that's why it's lower costs. And so that's going to be a challenge when it comes to upgrades and, future proofing and all that sort of thing. So you just want to make sure that you're not getting sort of sunk really by those hidden costs with the cheapest sort of options. And so what we're proposing today in terms of going through this process is a better way, hopefully, that can give you some insights in how you can choose the right types of partners that you want to work with. And kind of a no-brainer. The first thing is you really want to make sure you start with a good decision-making framework. So starting with that good plan, get you off on the right foot. And we actually have a little bit of guidance here as well. So one of the things that we've done is at Curve, we've created a product fit guide. This is generally a good place to start. Obviously you want to start with some type of scorecard that will list your criteria. And while you might be tempted to build that scorecard based solely on the technology, so features and functionality, you want to make sure that you also include stuff outside of that just technology stack and features and functions. It has to include company detail and information, business model, and lots of other criteria. And so what is that other criteria that you want to pay attention to as you're looking at selecting the best types of partners to work with for your initiative? So number one, just in general, who is the company that you're looking to partner with as a vendor? This could be as basic as, what are their backgrounds? Do they have the experience in the space for the technology that you're looking to integrate? What is their process like? How responsive are they during the steps of your process during the evaluation, through that whole those channels, that journey that you're going through? And most importantly, really, what is their focus? Are they focused on offering embedded software, or is that more of an afterthought into what their actual business is doing? So, just in general, making sure that you have the right background information to then move forward to the next stages of the process that you're working with when selecting a good partner. The second thing you want to pay attention to, obviously, is going to be on the technology. And this really isn't just about features and functions. Obviously, that's going to be a core component of any evaluation that you would do. You want to make sure you're getting the right features, you're checking all the boxes there. But this is really more about, will the technology grow with you? Is it, for lack of a better term, future-proof? And this then can focus more on the architecture, not just the features. Is it built to scale? Does it run modern services? And is it extensible? Does it offer that type of growth that you're going to need? Because ultimately you are embedding this technology into your platform, into your product. And so you need to make sure that it's going to be the right fit, not just now and today, but moving forward as you look at longer term solutions and customer facing capabilities that are going to help you grow your business. And then kind of an extension of that is, is it really built for embedded? And I would say this one is particularly important because, after all, as I just mentioned, this is something that's going to be part of your product. And you want to make sure that the vendor or partner that you're working with really has that focus on embedded technology. Does it integrate the right way? Is the technology the right fit for the use case? Do you actually even have visibility into their roadmap? Can you sort of know what to expect moving forward and how you're going to grow your product around these capabilities that you're integrating, embedding? So these are all incredibly important features that you should be looking for when you're selecting, the vendor that you want to work with overall through this process. And of course, In addition to those types of decision criteria, finding the right fit, understanding the company background, you also want to make sure you're doing your best sort of due diligence background on the vendor. So what are their other customers saying? Can you get an opportunity to talk to one or more of their existing customers, particularly maybe if it's somebody in a similar space, if you're looking at similar SaaS offerings who are using this type of technology. It's always important to find a comparable company or comparable use case, so you can best understand what are the positives, what are some of the negatives if there are any, what are the challenges, what can you expect in terms of timelines. And so all of these things that you want to understand that you could not necessarily easily get from just talking directly to the vendor, but also talking to some of their other customers, hopefully. And even review sites, those are great resources to understand what other people are saying about the vendors or the product companies that you're working with, so you can get that bigger picture to understand how to make the right decision when you're choosing the partners to work with. Another number 5 here, really all about sort of the licensing. This is kind of an interesting one as well, because again, when you're taking a look at embedding technologies, is it really built for that use case? And obviously the due diligence around the actual architecture, the features, that's going to be important. But does the licensing actually cause problems? Is it something that's going to be easy to use? Is it going to allow you to grow? Hopefully it's not going to be tied to some type of metric that doesn't work for your business. Does it scale, right? So you don't want to work with a vendor who licenses their software by, maybe that license is going to end up discouraging your user adoption. Maybe it's a user license that just won't work for your business. Maybe it's some type of seats license that just can't match to how you want to grow. And so you have to make sure that when you're evaluating, again, these would be things that you want to put on that scorecard, make sure that the license model is really built for embedding and built for your use case, to make sure that it fits and doesn't discourage how you would use the software, how you would grow the software, how you would ultimately be able to add value to your customers down the line. So make sure that that's a good fit as part of the decision-making process as well. Another key point, number 6 here, this is also very important. Again, outside of that product and feature set evaluation, think about what support means. Is it going to meet your needs? Do they have experience with your frameworks, your technologies, your use case? Are they going to be able to solve your problems if they come up throughout this process? So this is another one of those sort of tangential items that, as you're building out your plan and building out your scorecard, you want to make sure that you're capturing the support. What does it look like? What types of offerings do they have? Do they have what I need to be successful? Does it match what my customers expect? All those different things that are going to make it possible for you to, again, work with this company long term and select the best partnership moving forward. So that's important. How responsive, how is it going to work, what types of packages they offer, that sort of thing is a key criteria that you're going to be able to look at. And then this last point, number 7, this is really more about, are you ready and is your organization ready to make the decision? And so I think if you take a step back and think about your decision-making process, have you spent time with the right stakeholders in the organization? Obviously we're talking about embedding technology into software products. So there's going to be stakeholders from your development organization, application teams, backend teams, front teams. You might have stakeholders from your QA types of teams, your DevOps types of teams. You might have input from the sales organization. You might need to have input from legal as well. Again, you're talking about license contracts and agreements. You want to make sure that everybody's on board with that process. So the more you can organize and get ready to make a decision, the better and more smooth this process will go as you're working with and selecting to choose a good vendor to work with the right type of partnership. And of course, all of these things that you can have ready in your decision-making process. Make sure those are part of that scorecard or plan as you're building your evaluation criteria to help you, along that path as you're looking to integrate and embed these types of technologies. So again, the key criteria here, make sure you're doing your due diligence along these more business and company oriented focuses as you look at ways to partner and embed. You can go back and take a look at our product fit guide. And again, we'll have some links to share to those overall as well. And one thing I'll just again highlight, these are really important decisions. Obviously, you want to be able to pick good partners, good vendors to work with. A recent study showed, particularly in the space that Curve is in, which is embedded analytics, the software vendors who are embedding this type of technology reported increased value as well as increased dollars coming to them based on these types of technologies that they were able to incorporate. And as we saw earlier, obviously this is going to help you save time. This is going to help you achieve, some of those other key benefits and goals. And again, we can take a look and see what did people respond, to the poll here that we took earlier. In the survey here, and it looks like most people, I think, not surprising, the number one response was creating some differentiation. Number two, also not surprising, reducing churn, and we saw that with the statistics as they bear out. Obviously you want to make sure that you're not losing customers. You want to create that differentiation. So not surprising to see those as our top two responses coming back to us from the poll that we did earlier in the session here. So thank you for taking the time to fill that out and give us some of that feedback as we're going through. And the last thing I'll just quickly leave you with is a little bit about Curve. So as I talked through the presentation, we are in the embedded analytics space, and we're all about solving the needs of embedded analytics for SaaS software providers. So when you're building software, our entire business and our entire product and technology is built for that embedded software use case. And we like to think we go a little bit beyond embedded, which is why I say here we're infused analytics for software providers, because it's not just about the features and the functionality, it's also about all of those other key components. Are they built for embedded? Is it the right technology? Is it the right architecture? Is it the right license model? Is it the right support? Do you have the right visibility into tools like the roadmap? And all of that are things that Curve as an organization does offer to our partners. And that's why, we really focus on choosing the right partners, even for ourselves, as we're going down these paths, working with technology providers, SaaS providers, who want to integrate and embed this type of technology into their solution. And so I'll just wrap things up and leave you with a couple of the items that I mentioned throughout the presentation. So we've got that build versus buy guide, which is a great way to get started understanding that decision process. So when you're ready to make that decision, you can figure out what are the positives and negatives, and why you might want to look at buying into an embedded technology and entering into a great partnership with the company that will help you grow your business, help you create that differentiation, and help you sort of fight off the churn that you're looking for. And then the second item that I mentioned, the fit guide, which was kind of that template that could get you started building out your own scorecard. So this is a great way, at least, to get some baseline sorts of things that you want to take a look at and pay attention to through that fit guide. And then last thing, this is a little bit more specific to our use case around embedded analytics, but taking a look at how do you get beyond sort of the traditional way of thinking about it and get into more of the future-proofing modern approach to embedded technology, embedded analytics within your platform. So I hope you check those out, and hope you visit us at curve.com for additional information. And I want to thank everybody for participating in the presentation today, and thanks for your time. Hope to see you next year. Take care.
Thanks, David. That was a great presentation. We've got time for a couple of questions from the audience. We've got a few in the chat here. So we've got one from Ava who asks, if you are a startup, do you treat your investors as partners? How do you set boundaries there without being offensive so you can lead solo and still utilize help?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question to think about, right? So obviously the presentation today was focusing more on the technology partnerships that we're talking about when it comes to embedding, sort of rich technologies into your products to help drive either, enhanced roadmap capabilities or other types of features and the like. So I think that's, something that is what we've been focusing on. But certainly there's other types of partnerships that are obviously going to be really important as you either build the business or grow the business. So if you could find the right investors who are going to be partners, obviously you want to make sure there's same criteria. Who are they? What's the company background? Those all apply. I think this isn't these decision-making tools don't just apply only to the technology fit and the business fit there, but it applies to the business fit for other types of partnerships that you might jump into, and hopefully some of the things that we talked about today will help you through those scenarios as well.
Great, thank you. We've got a question here from Raul as well, who has asked. They said, we're a startup and want to make sure those who will be using new tools are involved in the decision-making process, but want to avoid too many cooks scenario. What advice do you have for making sure the right people are involved, but not too many?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I think the two cooks scenario can be a huge challenge. We see that all the time where you might have just too many people who want to have their say in the decision-making process. I think that's why building that scorecard up front is really important to help you organize that decision-making process. And if you have the right sort of leader as a product owner or product manager, that's usually the right role to take the lead in organizing and making these types of decisions. That person owns that scorecard. They own that process. And the goal there is not to exclude anybody, right? You don't want to leave anybody out in the process, but you want to make sure that you're bringing them in at the right time. And I think the best way to do that is to have a good organized process through that scorecard model and bring the people in that you need to bring them in at the right moments in that process. And hopefully, it's doable. You can do that. And I think the better organized you can be up front, the easier that will be moving forward through these types of cycles.
Nice, thank you. And we've got one more question here from John, who's asked, how important is it that the vendor can assist with technical architecture design?
Yeah, again, a really interesting question. I think one of the things that we found is, as a vendor on that side of the equation, we like to be very involved as much as we can in the process, because it's finding a good partner means not just selecting somebody and then saying, okay, we've chosen your technology, goodbye, now we're done and let's move forward. These are partnership agreements. These aren't just buying a software off the shelf from a vendor. And so it's important to find vendors that are willing to participate and assist through those various stages in the process. And I think if you can find the right vendor that can help with that, it's always going to mean better take advantage of more of those benefits, right? The faster time to market. If you can organize upfront around architecture and things like that, I think that's a huge plus. So yeah, as part of that decision criteria, make sure that you're going to want to work with vendors that can assist at those various stages in the process. So yeah, I think very important and great question. Thank you.
Great, thanks, David. Well, that pretty much brings us up to time. So thank you very much for your presentation today. It was really interesting. We've got some nice comments there in the chat. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We've got a couple more sessions to come today, so stay with us. And once again, thank you to David. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.